Hi babes, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Ofenze and I am your book bae. Your book bae is once again here with another video. And by the title of this video, you've already guessed that we will be reviewing Bosadi by Kopano Matlwa. So, guys, Kopano is one of my favorite authors. She is a South African author. This is a very much anticipated work of art, honey, because people have been waiting 10 years for this book. Some of her other books include Coconut, Spilt Milk, and Evening Primrose / Period Pain. So Evening Primrose and Period Pain are actually the same book. They just have different titles for different audiences in different places, child. So yeah, just like if anyone is the Fixer / Scandal fan, you understand that Shonda Rhimes renamed Scandal the Fixer here in South Africa because she was aware that in our market there was already an existing show called Scandal which used to play on ETV. I'm not sure if it still plays on ETV or not, but yeah, at that time that's what was happening. So let's get straight into the video. So just a little like a synopsis about the book. I went to the book launch for this book, Bosadi. It was at Hyde Park Corner and it was so amazing, guys. I really enjoyed it. I might actually attend another book signing and actually get her to sign the book because at the time I hadn't purchased the book as yet, because what I normally do is I attend book launches, listen to discussions, and then decide from there whether or not I'd like to purchase the book, because oftentimes I just want like a little bit of context and to hear it from the author themselves about the book so I can figure out if it's something that I'd like to read, and if so, when I'd like to read it. I attended the book launch for Bosadi at Hyde Park Corner and it was great. I was looking forward to the book, so I always gauge on how interested I am in the book after the book launch itself. So the book is very short. It's about 163 pages long. Very quick read. I finished it in one night. Can you imagine? I bought it during the day. I can't remember what day of the week it was, but it was a weekday. And I started reading it in the evening. And I finished, I think in the afternoon, though, late afternoon. And then I finished it that same night. You can imagine how gripped I was. I mean, honestly, I don't remember the last time I read a book and I finished it that quickly, because yeah, it just hasn't happened in a very long time. So shout out to Matlwa for that, honey, because wow. The book essentially, just a little bit about the book, a synopsis. It's about this woman. Her name is Naledi and she's married to her, I would say, varsity sweetheart, Lisedi. And she's basically talking about navigating the relationship and the life and the plight of a wife and some of the things that she deals with, because she is married to this particular person. So that's like just a little brief overview, some of the themes in the book, and also dealing with his family, navigating the fact that she is the breadwinner in the relationship and how her husband handles that, and also observing other people's marriages around hers. So some of the themes that come up in the book now, we've got mental health, we've got marriage, of course, we've got patriarchy, and also marriage, particularly in an African context, because the book is based in South Africa. We've got xenophobia, we've got prayer life and religion as a theme, Christianity and faith, and how faith affects how we view our relationships, our marriages. We've got this idea of generational trauma, where Naledi was in a situation where she sought refuge or support from women who had been married before or had gone through what she was going through, and the way that they were encouraging her to deal with it, and how that may or may not have been constructive. And also colorism is a theme in the book. What else comes up? Colorism, the politics of appearance, definitely weight, definitely self-esteem, definitely this idea of marriage, the kind of, I want to say, fairy tale that's sold to a lot of women versus the reality, compatibility in a marriage, friendship, and also how some friendships may falter or fall to the wayside when people go through transitional phases. This idea of abuse and how abuse affects not only the person who is in an abusive relationship or interaction, but the person's relationship surrounding them, because you have people that you may be in an abusive relationship and people want to help you and be there for you and encourage you maybe to make some decisions or do some introspection that you're not necessarily ready to do or to come to terms with, and how the person who's in the abusive situation's reaction to other people and the advice that they may give them or their viewpoints and how that affects the relationship after the fact. And what else? Career also. Being a career woman and a married woman is also a theme in the book. What else comes up? Guys, there's lots of themes in the book. I really enjoyed it. Wow, it is loaded. I mean, some of the times, the pages, I just want to read an excerpt. Hi, that word, it just always dribbles me. So I made some notes about some of the things that really touched me in the book. But let's look at page 22. That's the first note that I made. Okay, I want to talk about, this is Naledi speaking about herself, which speaks to that thing that I was talking about, the politics of appearance and colorism and. She says, here, worse, I was fat and dark. And when I couldn't make up for it in personality, my anxious mind, unable to keep up with her quick wit and exuberance, I convinced myself that I was surely a nuisance, that she had no choice to tolerate, and that I should quickly grow up and get out of her way. This is her talking about her relationship to her mom. And then something else here on page, that was 23. This is 22. Nothing was as it should be. Hard work was supposed to lead to success, love to happiness, marriage to a house filled with squishy toys, muddy feet, and bedtime stories. But all there was disappointment. Yo, that paragraph hit me here because I feel like as you grow up, there's so many things that you feel like are supposed to be a certain way. We sold this dream that do this, like I can use the school example. Do this, go to school, get your degree, flourish, then things will just go for you. You'll get yourself a good job, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, like that personally, that hasn't been my reality. I won't really go into that, but it's something that you really just have to come to terms with, that it's not all that easy. It's not just cookie cutter. It's not like a cause and effect situation where, yes, you could do everything right, every single thing that you are told to do right, you can do it, tick the boxes. But that does not guarantee you a particular outcome. Yes, you are closer to that outcome. Yes, it's more probable that that outcome will come, but it's not necessarily the case. So then what comes into question is life itself, and just deciding whether operating in a particular way gets you necessarily the results that you want. And it's a painful realization because, wow. Then I want to read something here about I wrote here 88, she really tried. So I suppose this is about Naledi and her relationship with her partner, Bosadi. God knows in the beginning I really did try. I'd make a dessert to go with every meal, every night, and bake a cake to accompany our Sunday 7 colors. I'd bring him a bowl of warm lemon water with a fresh towel to wash his hands in before we ate. I even had a spreadsheet mapping out weekly menus meticulously, careful not to repeat a dish in the same fortnight. I wanted to make him happy. I wanted us to be happy. I told myself I had an A in everything in life. I could get an A in this. I just needed to put in the effort, apply myself. It was just growing pains. Every marriage is tumultuous in the beginning, right? The power of a praying woman, the 5 love languages, his needs, her needs. I read all the books, but it didn't matter how good I was. Bosadi always found a reason. I told myself, just die to all your belongings and wishes as the scripture suggests. Give it all up. Wake up, do what the day requires. Swallow your words so you do not say things that you will regret, because it is your tongue always getting you into trouble. Just muzzle your mouth, read your Bible, honor your husband, allow him to lead you. Place your dreams before the Lord's feet and leave them there for him to consider when the time is right. Be kind, be generous, want for nothing more than that. I thought that maybe if I do all those things, behave, respect my husband, then maybe I will bear fruit. I will no longer be a withered tree that produces nothing. Okay, and then I wrote a note here. It says, so painful. Blame is placed on her once again to not bear children. Like, another theme that comes up in the book is abuse, but abuse in a marriage. So for me, this was so painful because, like I was saying, just the previous point about doing everything right and not necessarily getting the desired outcome. Like, I don't know, fundamentally, I have an issue with the fact that so much in patriarchy is framed in a way that women often get the short end of the stick. And I know some people are going to say, blah, 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 here comes the feminist discourse. Yes, I'm definitely a feminist, and this is my time, because this book, for me, just showed me and broke my heart in so many ways that it even made me reconsider, like, if I even want to be married. And ultimately, I think that no two marriages are the same. Everybody has a different experience, but it's just like I can relate so much to who Naledi is, being outspoken, being a boss babe, being just having that desire to build and have high expectations of myself, and also in turn the people around me, and wanting to really please and do my best, and expecting, yes, that people will show up in a particular way for me as well, because I believe in reciprocity, you know. So that's so painful, and understanding that. And in my personal journey, I also had to understand that you can give and you can do everything, right? Even in your relationships with people, but just for them to meet you at the same place that you're meeting them, it's not guaranteed. And you also need to accept that you shouldn't be in a position where you want to change people, or thinking that if you are consistently proving your worthiness to them, that they will change and they will step up. No, that is not the case at all. So I saw that that's something that Naledi was doing, and I could kind of relate to her in that way. So she got married to Lesedi, her husband in the novel, straight out of university. She got her degree, and then basically they were engaged. And then after that, you know, the uncles were at their gate, segunjalo, you know. So I am grateful in that regard that I did not get married at such an early age, because I realized that so many of the things and the ways that I view the world are so contradictory to what is actually the truth, and also what is my truth. Because I think it's important to draw the distinction between what you view as a universal truth, or what is being fed to us in the media, in our you know, people around us, in perhaps families, and whatever the case may be, and how you fit into that picture. So marriage is seen as, in a lot of ways, the ideal, and I don't have a problem with that. I respect marriages. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Relationships, love, amazing, incredible, and I look forward to having that experience one day. But it's not to say that just because if you are in a marriage and you just prove your worthiness, or you decide that I'm just going to work so hard, and that marriage is going to work. Because at the end of the day, there are so many moving parts that happen in a marriage for it to be a successful marriage. And there's so many people that fall in love and love each other and are so compatible, and wanting to work on this relationship while they are actually in the marriage, and then they realize that things come, external things, communication problems, fertility issues, money issues, what else? There's so many things that can really come against your marriage. And if you don't have that, I guess, like, if it's not an equal desire from both parties that really want to make this marriage work, or if one party becomes complacent, or if one party is not working through their issues, those are all things that can lead to the downfall of your marriage. I'm no expert, though. Once again, I have never been married. I am just speaking from a position of the outside looking in, but that is my experience, or not experience, just said I've never been married. That is my observation. And also, I'm definitely on TikTok reading and listening to reading the comment section in a lot of the married women's videos, and them explaining their marriage and all these things. So those are just definitely eye-openers for me. But I know that marriage and love can be amazing. And but in Naledi's case, I think that she just got married too young, and I think that was fueled by her feeling unworthy and her relationship with her mom. And I think that's another thing that I don't know, like, this thinking, or this picture of life when people are like, these are the steps to life that you must follow, and if you don't follow these steps, you are a failure, is so problematic. Because the way I see it, if Naledi she mentions also in the book at some stage that she wishes she had her friend's courage, because all the girls around her and her friend group, they were all getting married, and they were all getting engaged by the time, you know, they were fetching their degrees, honey. It was graduation season and engagement season, which reminded me actually of that joke about, like, women who do teaching, that they graduate with the B.Ed as well as the MRS degree, period. And you know what? Clock it. If you find your ideal partner when you are getting married, when you are graduating, that's amazing. Like I said, there is no one size fits all. And if we can deconstruct this idea that it's one size fits all, that a checkbox of life, that when I'm doing this, then next step I'm doing this, then next step I'm doing this, and if I'm not doing this at this particular time in this particular order, I'm a failure, then we would have just been so progressive. But I definitely feel and observe that, at least on social media. Of course, social media is just a microcosm of society at large. It's not necessarily like the rule, but I like the fact that what I'm seeing on social media is more women are really taking the time to know themselves and to build themselves up, and to not seek marriage or view marriage as a, what is the word, man? I don't want to say achievement, but I want to say like more women are viewing marriage as a partnership, as opposed to a partnership, and also an option. That's the word that I was looking for. That you don't necessarily have to be married in order to be worthy. And it's so crazy because the way that women or young girls are fed that narrative, but like when I think about it, a lot of the times young boys are not told like, okay, now if you are married, if you're not married by a particular age, you're this, you're that, you are, the funny things that come up, like you are, I want to say, damaged goods, or these problematic things that women are called at a particular age. And for me, as a 30-year-old woman, honey, I'm married and with no prospects at this particular point in time as I stand on this ground. I am so relieved and so pleased, because I mean, I don't necessarily think, and maybe that's another thing, is like my upbringing, I don't necessarily think that my parents or my family members framed it as like, if you are not married by a particular time, you are not going to get married, or that's a failure. I think that my upbringing was very much focused on me developing myself as an individual. Of course, having particular skills that would maybe make me a good homemaker and all those things. But I feel like those are things that we were all taught, like my siblings, boys and girls, that you need to be able to do certain things. You need to be able to clean. You need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be able to cook. You need to be able to do these things. Like, of course, gender roles in certain circumstances will prop up. But I'm so grateful that I had particularly a mother who, yes, instilled these things in me, but also encouraged me to really have my own things and to not view a man as a plan, and that's on period. Okay, so I also acknowledge my privilege in this discussion, but I want so much more women. I want that for so much more women. And like, I'm not saying that I am perfect, and wow, this video is long, and what's so funny is the book is not that long, but I have a lot of thoughts. Okay, so yeah. So that's, now we've spoken about the themes and we've spoken about so many other things surrounding the themes. And now I'd like to talk about what I liked about the book and what I didn't like about the book. So what I liked about the book, the writing style. It's written in a first-person narrator. I actually realized that in my last couple of books, my discussions, I haven't necessarily been highlighting that, but it's written in a first-person narrator. All right, it's Naledi is the primary narrator, excuse me, and then we also hear from Auntie. Auntie is her helper, that really serves as an ally for Naledi in a lot of ways. So the two perspectives that we hear from are Naledi and Auntie. So that serves as also like the dimensions of class are also brought into it, where Auntie is a domestic worker who works in Naledi's home and sees a lot of the things that Naledi is going through, and also serves as an ally and someone who protects her, and stands out for her in her absence, and also just gives her that support in a lot of ways. But ultimately, their relationship is severed. I think when they part ways, there's no other way around it, I suppose. And then, so it's a first-person narrator. It's very much, I think it's colloquial. I think it's very easy to understand. It reads very easily. The voices are very clear as well. And Auntie's perspective is that of a woman who had opportunity stripped from her, right, based on her circumstances and her upbringing. And so it's kind of like the dimension of like the tale of two cities, the haves and the have-nots, and them existing in the space together, and how they interact, and how the two worlds collide. Yes. So, in terms of what I liked about the book, I liked the story. I liked the way that so much is said simply in a lot of ways. I like that her writing is definitely the show don't tell, makes use of the show don't tell element or style of writing. Essentially, she writes something, but when you read in between the lines or you consider it, you understand what she's saying without her saying it directly. Like, instead of her saying the sky is blue, she says something like the sea reflected the sky's colors, and then you kind of can tell, okay, the sky is blue, right? So I love that. What I didn't like about the book, it's too short, man. Like, I so wish she can write a sequel, because I have so many questions and I would love to know more about Naledi and Naledi's story. And there's something also that came up. Okay, I know I discussed the themes. Maybe I should discuss this in what I didn't like. But yes, so that's just about the book. I love the story itself. I loved the dimensions. I love the fact that we heard from Auntie, and also through Auntie and through Naledi, we can also hear secondhand from some of the people that they interact with also in the story. And that's what I liked about the book. Also, just the emotion, that it's clear that this book was written intentionally. It's intentional writing. It's just not a throwaway piece of writing. So you know what, it was worth the wait. So I just want to talk about, just as an illustration of talking about how the book is written in a way which is like, she says a lot in a little space. Here on page 78 it reads, I should have walked away then, when I was still a whole person with my own identity and dreams, and that I truly believed in, but I didn't. So that's speaking about the first time when something happens. I won't say what, because I don't want to spoil the book. But I mean, it's so intimate. It's like it's an omniscient narration. It's first person, so you can really hear, like, in her mind that she's so honest, and like just her unraveling, and everything that she's going through in the time frame. So what I didn't like about the book, honestly, I wouldn't say that there was anything that I didn't like about the book, apart from the fact that it was quite short. But I do remember at the book launch, something like, there was a discussion surrounding Lesedi being redeemed in the book, and her getting back to her partner, and somebody mentioning, I won't say who, that they wished that her and Naledi could get back together and be good again. And I was like, wow, like, that was insane to me, because the toxicity from Lesedi, and then hoping that there would be a reconciliation. Maybe I'm immature or something like that, and I have not enough life experience to have that hope, but I just felt like that was so realistic, because I mean, as a person, there's only so much that you can take up until you realize that somebody actually does not care about you. So I am of the opinion that you shouldn't give people many chances to show you and tell you that they don't love you, or they don't care for you, or they don't actually regard you as a human being. In the relationship with Lesedi and Naledi, Lesedi's upbringing informed the way that he viewed women, based on how his aunt on his maternal side, which is Rakhadi in my language. When you hear somebody is called a Rakhadi, you must know that is the aunt on the father's side. Okay, so anyways, I'm like, okay, so why are we trying to make space or redeem this person who has showed her multiple times that he actually doesn't care about her, he doesn't respect her? He is a patriarch who is consistently gaslighting her and using his own ineffectiveness or his own traumas and bad experiences and inability to do certain things and piling it on her. Like, guys, this thing of women taking the brunt of men's failures and all these things, like an inability to do certain things. It hurts me so much, because why should I, as Ofente, have to pay for the fact that you have unresolved traumas, that you are having a tough time with certain things? Like, I'm not saying, I understand that therapy or the psychology of this thing is that oftentimes the people who are closest to you are the people that you often hurt and that you pile on. But just because you are having a difficult time and you may lash out now and then, okay, fine, people are people, we will give grace at a certain time. But when it becomes at my expense to the point that I am actually in danger, or better off, honey. Like, for me, that was insane. Like, I remember that comment being made at the book launch, and then I was looking to see, like, okay, who is this redeemable character that is being championed or is being rooted for? And I was just like, where is the redeemable quality in this? Because we are going, at this point with this guy, it's a race to the bottom of the barrel stuff. In case you wanted to know how I feel about Bosadi, that's exactly how I feel. He's bottom of the barrel man who is incapable of taking responsibility or ownership of his own failures and redirecting his life in order to make himself something, so he is not taking it out on his wife as a punching bag, because it is absolutely disgusting, especially now in South Africa, where we are moving forward to the Women for Change protest in order to send a statement out to the world and to particularly our presidency that we need this to be declared as a state of emergency and to be taken seriously, because women and children are dying every single day at the hands of men who do not take the responsibility to actually go to therapy or to work through their own traumas or see us as human beings. So, like, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that, and that's on period. Okay, so now we've covered what I didn't like about the book or book launch discussion. Now I want to talk about whether or not I would whether or not I would suggest this book or recommend this book, and who I would recommend it to. First of all, I would recommend it to everybody. I would recommend it particularly to women who are wanting to get married, or women who are married maybe, or women who are trying to kind of grapple with how they feel about marriage and in the context of the world that we live in, particularly as African women. I think that it's also a crossover value, but I particularly would recommend it to African women because I think there are certain things that only we can understand based on our upbringing and our exposure. I want to recommend it to African men. I want them to understand that some of their actions can really be damaging to women. I want to recommend it to men from different cultures because I think that it's wrong for us to attribute certain behaviors to or abuse to a specific subset of men or people, when abuse can really be apparent in every circumstance. Sometimes it's a woman that are abusing men, blah blah blah, and I don't even want to go into that not all men thing, but I just feel like if you are reading this book, it's beneficial because in some ways you can really just see how your actions may be affecting somebody else, especially in the context of abuse. I want to recommend it to women who are abuse survivors because I think that although it may be triggering at some point, it could be healing, because at some point Naledi really takes her power back, and that is just for me the pinnacle of what this book is about. Although by taking her power back, she does also end up in another precarious situation. So in some ways, it's like this build-up of like a resentment of all the things that are done to her and all the people who don't show up for her and give her like not necessarily having the tools to deal with somebody or even the courage to walk away from some of these things, because understandably so, in an abuse situation, we do have Stockholm syndrome that comes up at some point. But wow, it is just like borrowed from somebody. I mean, for me, I bought it for 240 Rand from Bargain Books in Northgate. So I don't necessarily think that it's an expensive read. But hey, if I know you well enough, I'm happy for you to read my copy because I think it's that important for everybody who can and read this book, particularly adults. I think young girls too. This sprinkle lifestyle, honey, like you need to understand that sometimes these marriages, you can't just decide that you are going to marry somebody and decide that it's just going to be picture perfect while ignoring certain signs. Also understanding that walking away from a marriage, deciding that it's not for you, it's not a failure. And also I understand this thing of always wanting to like want your marriage or your relationship to work, but at what cost? At what cost? Because that is another big theme. At what cost? Okay, you have the marriage life, whatever the thing. And you know what? I think this extends beyond marriage, because it's just that marriage is something that it's not just you in it, right? It's a partnership. But let's be realistic, guys. I'm not saying don't get married, but what I'm saying is just don't get married for the sake of. When you marry someone, please be sure, like, do everything with I don't know, different people's spiritual practice. For me, I'm a praying woman, so pray, meditate, consult, listen to yourself and your intuition, because you don't want to end up in a situation when you say to yourself, yo, I shouldn't have, and I knew that I shouldn't have. Rather not, or take your time to, so when you're in the situation, you know, it's easier. And also another thing that I realized is marriage is difficult either way. So at least make sure that you're marrying the right person, because you're going to face challenges. There's no way that it's going to be smooth sailing, wire. That's just not realistic, honey. And that's on period. But because even in friendships or interpersonal relationships or work relationships, there's always friction, because intimacy means that sometimes there's going to be friction. But you need to be with somebody, or in a position where you're with someone who you're both committed to this thing, and there's a basis of respect, and of course love, and of course a willingness to learn and to change and to adapt and to accept, but at the same time a balance, because you cannot always be the one that is saying okay and just, you know, I don't know what the word is, settling, or not settling, but being the one who's giving the benefit of the doubt all the time. No, that cannot be you. You cannot be the one obegezelang every 2 minutes. 20 hobe equal. Or sometimes a balance shift, that sometimes you can be at 80%, your partner at 20%, la chenchisana. It's not this thing that always it's me, I'm the 80%. Okay? So yeah, with all of that in mind, lenyalo ha se papadi. That's all I have to say. Marriage is not a game, honey. All right? So yeah, that's all I have to say, and that's a mouthful, because right now I'm looking at the time and we've definitely got over 30 minutes, but I had a lot to say. And honestly, I know that a lot of the time people are like, YouTube, don't make your YouTube videos too long, but honey, this is my channel, and I know that you guys love bookish content as much as I do, so I really just had to get it out. And I feel like when there's a book club discussion about this book, honey, I'm there like a bear, because I have a lot to say. I still have a lot to get off my chest. I still feel like, you know, I need to, you know, so call me, hit me up, DM me, guys, at OffenseMDK. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Invite me to your book club discussions, because I have a lot to say about this book. I'm still traumatized. I'm telling you that after I read this book, the day after, even the night after, I wanted to share with someone. I was talking to my mom. She was like, yo, some of the themes in this book, like, she was just not really trying to hear that at that particular time of the night, which was late, I guess. But wow. Well, that's it from me, y'all. Bye for now.